Thank you for joining us today. Our presentation is named The Need for Equitable Digital Access Will Not End with the Pandemic. Is Outdoor Wireless the solution? Presenters Amanda Lucas, PhD, and Monica Flipping Wynn, PhD. The necessity for seamless Wi Fi has only increased with COVID-19. With more students depending on remote learning, higher education must ensure equity is delivered along with matriculation. Join us to discuss the future of Wi Fi access. Is outdoor wireless a permanent solution to a not so temporary problem? Here are our session objectives that we'll touch on during our presentation. The first one is digital equity. The second one is COVID-19 implications. The third one is outdoor internet. And last but not least, innovative strategies. Session presenters. I am Dr. Amanda Lucas, and I'm your lead presenter. My co-presenter, Dr. Monica Flipping Wynn, will introduce herself.
Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Glad that you're here and glad that you will be taking a look at our session. I'm Monica Flippin Wynn, and I'm happy to be working with Dr. Lucas. Dr. Lewis, on you.
Thank you. Equitable digital access. What's that, you might ask? Okay. So, equitable digital access can be described as special hardships encountered by underrepresented groups in higher education when it comes to online learning. For example, when students have a lack of access to high speed internet, when students do not have, when they're not able to connect to Wi Fi, let's say they may have always gone to the coffee shop in the area where their college was. And that was a place where they knew they would have access to internet. They knew they could study. They knew they could complete projects. Well, after COVID, businesses like that, well, they disappeared, unfortunately. And also students having to complete assignments on their mobile devices. If equity, if equity means giving more to those with the least, our approaches thus far to serving students through distance education have fallen short. The lack of access to stable high-speed internet is having devastating consequences for college students since the start of COVID. These are significant. These are significant and needed investment. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Current research. So one survey that was done by Irish Palmer, Whistle, and Third Way, it showed that approximately 4 million students are struggling with internet access and connectivity since COVID, having a devastating effect on new enrollments and student retention. This having a very worrisome effect on people who are not starting or continuing their education. A forthcoming New American Survey, also by Palmer, asked students why they didn't enroll in the following fall semester after COVID-19. Nearly one fifth said that they did not have the technology. For those students, the pandemic and their lack of access to high speed internet may negatively affect the rest of their lives. The likelihood of a student re enrolling in college after they have dropped out is very low. Only 30% return to finish a degree. And without a degree, they face a life of lower wages and job insecurity. So, what we knew and what the pandemic confirmed. With more students depending on remote learning than ever before, higher education has been imperative to ensure equity is delivered across the board with learning outcomes when it comes to Wi Fi access. The pandemic proved decisions to expand online learning must be driven by research data and, above all else, student success and equity. Internet access is not equitable. Um, with internet access not being equitable, now is the time to support and increase internet access. I'm sorry, to support and increase internet access for students who struggle to stay enrolled in college but have limited access to public Wi Fi. Wi Fi access for students is a subject matter that is super important. The increase in digital media and online learning has confirmed Wi Fi is now the necessity. These concerns will not disappear with pandemic ending. So now we have the government assistance and allocations that happened during COVID for underrepresented groups, students who attend HBCUs, students who attend tribal colleges. Um, Communities of color have been hit hard by the pandemic, and surveys have shown that their struggle to access reliable high speed internet has been no different. With HBCUs and rural areas having less accessibility and connectivity, here are some examples of funding. So we had the Minority Communities Pilot Program, which allocated 285 million in new funding for historically Black colleges and universities, tribal colleges and universities, and other minority serving institutions. Also, there was the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program, which provides 3.2 billion to fund a monthly $50 subsidy to low-income households to offset the cost of broadband internet. This also goes for those living in subsidized homes. And now we will touch on outdoor internet and Dr. Wynn. Oh, Dr. Wynn, you're on mute.
How many times do we have to say we're on mute? We knew we'd have to have it during this presentation. Thank you very much, Dr. Lucas. Um, I just want to talk a little, really briefly about outdoor internet because we all know what it is. We just, I don't think sometimes uh, the capacity that what we could utilize it for, especially we've learned that during COVID. Uh, Outside internet access we all have also used before in our car, doing a quick download for a menu to pick up something to eat, or sitting in our car or on the subway or some other form of transportation and downloading a paper that we are about to give or a form that we have to sign. So we have it, but up until a couple of months ago, many of our institutions hadn't thought about innovatively using it to make sure that our students in those areas where there's low connectivity, no connectivity, and our rural areas made sure that access was available. And we have just a few examples to for you to just kind of understand what a couple, what institutions were able to do. We have Lewis University, who worked with other entities, and they uh, they said we looked for opportunities to continue to provide access, but we had to figure what that was because everybody was at home. So they decided that the parking lots around their particular facility and other facilities were the prime place to do parking lot access, to put up hubs. Students, graduate, undergraduate, faculty could come in and park, get their lessons done, download information from the libraries, communicate with students and colleagues on projects. And of course, this again, I want to reiterate, it's not anything new. We just haven't thought about it. So it's that big thinking that some of our institutions have done. There were several of our universities, Ohio State, University of Kentucky, where they put up tents, and incorporating those tents were servers and different types of Wi-Fi hubs, so people could not only just come into parking lots, but they could also come into the tents and get their work done, sit down at reasonable distances. So when we're talking about the outside internet, Wi-Fi, and innovation, we're saying that the services are there, the Wi-Fi is there. We just have to figure out a way to make those connections, and we've been able to do that. Or some institutions have thought about doing that and have done it, for the last several months during COVID. But the mistake, of course, is that we think once COVID is being handled, we won't need to think of innovative strategies anymore. We won't need to come up with ways to provide connectivity and access for these populations. And of course, that's not correct, because um, the connectivity, no connectivity, uh, rural access, that's not going to go away. And so we really do need to start thinking about those innovative strategies. What can we do on our campuses? What can we utilize that doesn't require so much more funds or different allocations, and are going to be sustainable. The institutions that I mentioned and several others says these are not going to go away once COVID has is not so much in our foreground. They are going to continue to find ways, using outdoor internet, using the servers and hubs that they put across their institutions to provide this access that so many of our populations and our students need in order to have equitable education and opportunities. So, what we're asking you is to think outside your box. What are some of the strategies, including outside internet access at your own institutions? What can you do? What can you set up? What can you arrange so your students can do 24/7? That's what we're asking you to do. What are some of the other strategies? Putting a school bus in the community, putting hubs in it, and allowing not just your students but other members of the community to access the internet. We're asking for you to do that kind of thinking. Dr. Lucas?
Thank you so much, Dr. Wynn.
You're welcome. I'm excited about this. Aren't you?
I am.
Okay. It's
So
some good stuff.
yeah, you can really push the limit with it.
You can.
Um, I would like to end with the following quote. Technology, I'm sorry. Technological innovation and willingness to step out of our boxes can use strategies to create equitable and campus off on campus and off campus internet and digital accessibility for all of our students. And like Dr. Wynn said, we can really push the limit. We're not chained to the lecture halls anymore, to the libraries, to the classrooms. We can create spaces for students where they can have Wi-Fi access anywhere. So I'm so happy we could present to you guys today. And we would love any feedback or questions that you can leave on your module. And thank you so much for
We'd
having
also like your strategies. So if you're doing some of
us.
this, because Dr. Lucas and I are doing additional research. So if you've got some strategies, some questions, some things that we can use and look up, some additional research, we'd be so very pleased if you could include it for us. That would help out a lot.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, definitely will. Thank you guys for viewing our presentation today. Thank you.
Bye. Have a good one.